Hi everyone, my name is Emily and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the books I read from January to March. I feel like there's stuff in my teeth still. Sorry, I'm eating kettle chips. So basically, I barely started getting back into reading in March, but I read like one book between January and February, so I thought might as well just include it in this video. The first book that I read, this is the one that I read January to February, and it is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I don't know, everyone really likes this book, and people say that it makes them cry, but I didn't really have that much of an emotional attachment to this book. I feel like the main character and her husband could have solved so many problems if they just talked to each other. They just weren't communicating with each other. The whole time I was just like screaming at my book, and I also listened to this on audiobook because it's on Scribd, but the whole time I was just screaming like, why don't you guys just talk to each other? So that's why I was kind of irritated. I think I rated it a 2 or a 3 stars. I'm not sure, let me check. I rated it a 3 stars. I don't know why this book has so much hype. It's not as good as I thought it was gonna be. The next book I read was by Christina Lauren, and it is Love and Other Words. Again, it was okay. I also listened to this on audiobook just to help pass the time. I didn't feel invested in the story. I didn't really feel involved. I didn't feel as intrigued as I'd like to have been. But this book is basically about a girl who has like this childhood friend slash lover, and then something bad happens between them, and then they don't talk for like over a decade, and then like by chance they run into each other at like a coffee shop, and then things go from there. Her name's Macy and the love interest name is Elliot. It shows how she and Elliot grew up together and their story. It's told in alternating timelines. Every other chapter it switches from her perspective when she was a kid and then to when she's like 29. I believe I rated this 3 stars as well. I guess I haven't been doing so well in the romance novel department. I don't know, I just can't, it's not as intriguing to me. The next book I read was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. As you can see, I fairly enjoyed this book. It was a little slow in the beginning, but most fantasy books are slow in the beginning just for world building and just getting you set into that story. I love Nina and Inej. I think my favorite character is Nina. I love her so much. And I love Jesper too. Jesper's great. But I wanted to read this before the TV series came out on Netflix because I know that it's coming out on the 23rd of April. And I'm also planning on reading the second book in April before it comes out. I know that the TV series is centered more around Shadow and Bone rather than Six of Crows, but I do know that there's some stuff from here trickled in there, so I wanted to read it before the TV series came out. The next book I read, I actually DNF'd, and it is Roomies by Christina Lauren. I'm guessing Christina Lauren just isn't for me. I DNF'd at 200 pages because the main character was so irritating. I hated her so much. The only reason why I didn't rate it a 1 star was because of the love interest. He was pretty cool. He was a New York City busker, so I rated it a 2 stars because of him, but the main character is so irritating. It's basically about a girl named Holland, and her uncle is a musical director for a Broadway show, and they're looking for a replacement for someone. And Holland's been noticing this busker for like a couple months. Eventually the busker gets an audition and then he gets the part, but then he can't actually take the part because he's in the country illegally. So then she decides to marry him. Holland is just, she tries to make herself be all quirky and cute. She's a pick-me basically. She's like, I'm not like other girls. I'm small, but I can eat a whole steak. You know what I mean? It was just so annoying the whole time. It just wasn't enjoyable for me. I just couldn't finish it. I didn't care enough. The next book I read was my only 5-star book from this month, but I loved it so much. It is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. It's basically about a girl named Alicia, and she's a famous painter in London, and her husband is a famous photographer as well, living the high life. And then one day when her husband comes home late from work, she shoots him in the face 5 times and never speaks a word again. And the story follows her psychotherapist trying to figure out what happened and like the whole mystery behind the murder. It's so good. I loved it so much. I know this is kind of popular right now. I absolutely love this book. It's fantastic. Chef's Kiss. And the last book that I read was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I am so surprised at how quickly I flew through this book. This one and The Silent Patient. This felt like I was watching a movie. That's how fast it felt to me. You probably know what this is about already because it's so popular on BookTube and Book Talk. I think I rated it a 3.5 stars. I put a 3 on Goodreads, but it's more of a 3.5 stars to me. In comparing my interest with other books to this one, I think it was definitely a 3.5. I really love how this book was set up. It was kind of set up like The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So basically it would switch perspectives, and after the main characters would interact with someone, it would switch to that other side character's perspective and show how their actions affected them. I love reading books like that. That's why I also really liked The Sun Is Also a Star. I really enjoyed this book. It was a very nice read and I flew through it super quickly. And those were all of the books that I read from January to now. So I'm definitely ahead of my Goodreads goal. My Goodreads goal is basically just to read 1 book a month. So I'm definitely ahead. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've already read 2 books in April. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!